For our United Way Spotlight of the Week, we're talking about the Kingston Military Family Resource, and I'm joined by Lauren Anglin and Terry Telford. Terry, let's start with you. Tell me about the Family Resource.
Sure. Well, the Kingston Military Family Resource Center, our acronym KMFRC, essentially our vision is to create a resilient community of military families, and our part then is by offering different programs and services to help out that vision. So, for example, whenever a military family is posted in or moved into the city, we have a welcome program in effect. So they come to the resource center. We introduce them to us, to the center, to a lot of the programs and services that are in the community, and really help them kind of settle in and thrive, developing their own networks within the city.
Okay, and Lauren, you deal with mental health counseling.
Absolutely.
Within the Family Resource Center. Tell me about that.
Thank you. Well, you know, military families have everyday problems just like civilians do, and that requires mental health resources. And with the moving around, it's not always easy to be able to find that help, and that's where we come in. We, you know, as our slogan says, we are the strength behind the uniform. We, like Terry said, try to create resilient military families, and one of the best ways to do that is through our mental health services.
What are some of the things that a person in the military would deal with under the umbrella of mental health that the rest of us couldn't even imagine?
Well, in addition to it being a high-risk occupation, some of the biggest things that we do have to deal with as a military family is going to be those absences. So, you know, deployments and postings, relocations, being moved around how many times a year. I'm pretty sure, you know, you've got kids in class, in and out, and transitions. So transitioning not only from military life to civilian life, but also the other way around, because it is a learning curve.
I had a friend quite a few years ago, and she was raised military and she married military, and when she was 41 years old, she was living in her 41st home.
Wow.
Yeah, back in those days, I think they moved them way more often than they do today. Mm-hmm. And she said that as a result of that, she looked at it in a very positive way. She said that it meant she made friends very quickly. She fit in very quickly. She learned to deal with loss very quickly because she was always saying goodbye to friends. And she looked at it as a really good thing. And I thought it was an interesting way of looking at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, it used to be that the military was insular. Everything that they needed was right there on the base. And I even heard about some because I had dealings with 8 Wing in Trenton.
Yep.
And they would, some of them said, you know, I went to LAR. I spent 3 years in LAR, and I said, wow, that must have been wonderful, traveling all over Europe. And they said, well, actually, we never left the base.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that changing?
Yeah, well, changed, yes. Hugely. When my dad got into the military in the 60s, they told him if they wanted him to have a family, they would issue him with a family. So from that standpoint to now, where we have military family resource centers on every base, that we're there to help support the families. So it's a huge change. And the nice thing too, especially in a lot of the military communities, Kingston especially, is so super friendly to the military community. So one of our mandates is we do not duplicate services for our families. We don't duplicate services that are already in existence in the community. So we have a lot of partnerships with organizations in the community so that we ensure that we're offering the programs and services that we're offering are very specific, and then if it's a program or service that's offered in the community, we actually refer them, our families, or get them involved in something that's happening in the community. So it's more of a melding of both military and civilian, so it's not that you're just in your military lifestyle, that we actually, that's one of our things, is to help you explore the city and you know, you're in Kingston, get involved in Kingston, have fun and enjoy what the city has to offer.
That's great. And would this make it easier then, Lauren, for when they go to leave the military? Because I know you guys can retire pretty darn young.
Yep.
Yeah. That when they go to leave the military, that because they've dealt with outside agencies, it's a little bit easier than it was in, say, in your dad's time.
Absolutely. Like I know my partner, he's military, he'll be retiring at 49. So a little bit jealous, but yeah, he'll be retiring at 49 because he's put his 25 years in, but that certainly doesn't mean that his life, professionally or personally, is over. So, you know, in a community like Kingston, it's very important that not only he, but myself, we integrate into the community because, you know, after his career, we're still going to be dependent on the community. We're still going to need to get out, make friends, keep ourselves busy. If we ever are lucky enough to have children, be able to send our children to school. So it is incredibly important for an organization such as ours to be able to create those community connections because, you know, there is a life outside the military and, you know, that needs to be taken care of as importantly as the CAF member themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking, Terry, that if you're a child, you know, you've got all the usual stuff going on, but is it different if you are a kid raised on the base? Are there different restrictions? Are there different expectations than there are for our kids?
I think well, things have changed because we don't have as many residences on the base anymore. So it was at one point, it's like you said, you could live on the base and never leave if you wanted to. But now we've got more people in the community because there's like we've brought our housing down to very few houses left on the base. So it ends up being that you are out in the community. A while ago, not even that long ago, when I first started in 2010 with the Resource Center, we had a teen center. And the teen center essentially was for the kids that were on the base, so you have somewhere to go and hang out and whatnot. And then it's gotten phased out years and years ago because there's so few families really on the base that it's more of a difficulty to come down to the MFRC as a teen than it was before. So it's definitely, again, it's like we're saying, the integration into the community, and we work very very strongly with the Boys and Girls Club because that's where the kids are now, where the teens are. So that's just another example
Just another example of how things are changing.
Yeah.
Lauren, I understand the United Way has been a big part of your success. In the 1 minute we've got left, can you tell me how their funding has helped you?
Absolutely. So specifically with our mental health and wellness team, the United Way funds our Community Resource Connection program. So in partnership with Resolve Counseling, we at the KMFRC are able to offer short-term counseling, but as we know, some things can always be solved in a short-term basis, and there are many clients that need that extra support and need that extra safe space to be able to go through and unpack whatever they're dealing with so they can move on more resiliently. And that's where the United Way comes in. They do a wonderful job of being able to fund our long-term counseling services in partnership with Resolve.
It sounds like a good reason to support the United Way, and I know they're in the middle of their campaign right now.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure meeting both of you, and continued success.
Thank you for having
too.
us.
Thank you.
Take care.